The zombie apocalypse has struck the world, but one guy is really happy about it. After all, zombies help him fulfill his dreams. Sounds interesting? Then dive into our recap. A young guy in a business suit is running away from a crowd of zombies. He's concerned that they might make him late for work. Well, let's see how it started about a year ago. The main character of the story is Tendo Akira. He is a very hardworking and polite guy. He got his first job and is happily rushing to his new office. Tendo notices a pretty girl named Otori among his colleagues. After work, all the employees gather at a bar. Tendo gets acquainted with his co-workers and his boss named Kosugi. The latter informs the guy that he has to work all night and complete a bunch of different tasks. The next day, things go the same way. The guy comes home and can barely stand on his feet. With each passing day, he gets more and more workload. He literally lives in his office. One night, Tendo meets his best friend Kensho at a bar and complains about his hard work. Alas, the conversation between the friends soon ends in a scandal. At work, Otori treats tired Tendo to juice, but 5 minutes later he is immediately scolded by his boss. Alas, the main character lacks the courage to leave the company, since it is extremely difficult to find a new job in Japan. Day after day passes in this way. Tendo is so exhausted that he is even thinking of jumping in front of a train. His house is turning into a dump. One morning, he leaves the house and sees that his neighbor has turned into a zombie. Tendo tries to run away from him, but more and more monsters join the chase with each passing minute. Tendo witnesses the true madness happening in the city. He realizes that there is no need to work today and gets excited. So it's the first day of the zombie apocalypse. Tendo finally realizes that he hasn't had a day off for the entire year and immediately thinks of Otori. At the same time, a pregnant woman is watching the news about the zombies. Her husband tries to calm her down, and then a cheerful Tendo appears outside the window of their apartment. He explains that he's going to the store and is willing to bring some groceries to the neighbors. The guy gets on his bike and rides through the crowd of zombies. However, they run pretty fast and he has to pedal harder. He finds Otori's house and enters her apartment. Even though all the things inside are scattered, the girl is alive and looks like a normal person. However, a zombie in a bathrobe wanders around her flat, and the protagonist recognizes him as the CEO of the company. To save the girl, Tendo attacks the zombie, rips off his wig, but immediately hits the wall because of the strong blow. Then the guy lunges at the zombie once again, and they both fall down. Otori smacks the zombie's head and berates him for not leaving his wife for her. It turns out they were lovers. What a twist. But that's not the end of the story. The boss manages to bite the girl, so now she also turns into a zombie and of course pounces on Tendo. The guy fights off Otori with a pillow, after which he confesses to the girl that he used to love her and runs away from her house. He returns to his neighbors with groceries, but apparently it's too late. Tendo gets frustrated, but his longing for life is as strong as never before, and he doesn't want to end up as a food for zombies. The guy writes a bucket list of 100 activities that he has always dreamed of fulfilling. The second day of the zombie apocalypse dawns. Tendo tidies up his apartment and throws a pile of junk through the window. He goes to the supermarket and takes a lot of different products. He has to run away from the zombie salesman, but that's not a big deal. Tendo dyes his hair in different colors, but then returns to the natural one. He paints a huge portrait of himself on a skyscraper and once again escapes from a crowd of hungry zombies. Tendo needs to speed up, so he changes his bicycle to a powerful motorcycle. In the evening, he sets off colorful fireworks, and the next day he has a barbecue outdoors. Alas, he runs out of sauce and decides to go to the supermarket. There, some stranger wearing a helmet attacks the guy and swings a baton at him. Realizing that Tendo is not a zombie, the stranger takes off the helmet. It's a real living girl, and besides, she's quite quite pretty. Her name is Shizuka. They hear someone begging for help outdoors, and the protagonist runs to save the other living person from a zombie. Shizuka helps him and defeats the Walking Dead with ease. She seems to be a true monster hunter. The girl rides away on her bike, and the main character returns home. That's when he finally thinks of his best friend Kensho and calls him. The latter confesses that he is stuck in a hotel for adults, and he is surrounded by zombies. Tendo decides to save his friend. He rides his motorbike, trying not to crash into the crowd of zombies, and finds the right hotel later in the evening. Unfortunately, zombies are literally everywhere. Tendo notices that they respond to any sound and throws a speaker into the crowd. The zombies immediately rush to it, while the protagonist sprints forward like a football player, scattering the opponents in all directions and deftly dodging their teeth. Tendo finds Kensho in the hotel, and the two friends make their way to the roof. Then they sneak into a nearby bar and have a great dinner in honor of their victory. Kensho reads his mate's bucket list and says that the latter is a true hero. Tendo writes down another wish: to become Superman or Spider-Man. Kensho is watching the news and learns that Tokyo is on the brink of a humanitarian disaster. Tendo offers his friend to visit the oceanarium to get some shark-proof wetsuits. The zombies won't bite through them. But first, the guy needs to get some more food. While trying to break into the supermarket, they notice a crowd of living people attacked by zombies. The guy sees Shizuka among them. She skillfully fights off the zombies and hides in the supermarket with the main character. A cab driver and his two female passengers also manage to sneak in. They decide to go to the oceanarium together, because it is the safest place for now. The cab driver notices a bite wound on his arm, while his passengers are drinking strong alcohol. The boys join them. After getting drunk, the girls start hitting on Kensho, and soon they go to a separate room. Shizuka walks over to Tendo. She bandages a scratch on his arm, and suddenly the cab driver behind him turns into a zombie. He is chasing the protagonist, while his passengers put on stewardess costumes and entertain Kensho. Alas, a zombie cab driver shows up behind their backs, biting the girls one after the other. A terrified Kensho runs away, and the zombie chases after him. Tendo distracts the monsters with music and saves his friend once again. Meanwhile, Shizuka struggles to get out of the store, but the zombie passengers catch up with her. The girl fights them off until Tendo and Kensho set off fireworks to distract the monsters. The three of them get out of the store, notice an intact camper van outdoors and get inside. Fortunately, they easily start the engine with the found keys. Thus, the main characters manage to escape from the zombies. Now, they are driving to the oceanarium. Along the way, the protagonists decide to visit the hot springs and drink a shot of sake. The seventh day of the apocalypse begins. Kensho dyes his hair blonde, and Shizuka feeds the stray dogs. Before long, the main characters find themselves on a lake and try surfing for the first time in their lives. Admittedly, it looks more like yoga. After flying a paraglider, Tendo checks off another wish on his list. In the evening, the protagonists have ramen for dinner and light sparklers. They finally reach the hot springs, only to find them occupied by zombies. Tendo and his friends look for a remote place and enjoy a great time. Sometime later, the protagonists almost make it to the oceanarium, when they get into an accident as their camper van skids on the road. It turns out that the highway is covered with sharp spikes and nails. Tendo wakes up to the screams of his boss Kosugi. Was it all just a dream? Well, no. The boss takes him to the oceanarium and shows him the local shelter. There, the guy sees his neighbors, whom he thought were dead, and also some colleagues from his former job. Apparently, Kosugi has set up a new business here, and now he demands Tendo, Kensho and Shizuka to join them to work 24 hours a day. The man shows the boy the local defense system. That's a crowd of hungry zombies who protect the shelter from criminals criminals and robbers. Kosugi forces Tendo to become his assistant. While Kensho, Shizuka and other workers eat the plainest and cheapest food, Kosugi enjoys gourmet dishes and the main character works as his waiter. Tendo's former neighbor tries to get Kensho and Shizuka out of this prison. He offers the youngsters to take any car and escape. In the meantime, a zombie sneaks into the oceanarium and bites one of the employees. Taking advantage of the panic, a crowd of zombies gets out of their cage and breaks into the shelter. A true chaos and madness begins. Kensho and Shizuka find Tendo and offer the guy to join them, but he refuses. The girl enters the camper van and sees his list of unfulfilled tasks on the table. She returns to the oceanarium and again asks the guy to leave with them, otherwise he will definitely turn into a zombie. Tendo recalls all the happy moments of his life, while Kosugi stomps on his bucket list. The protagonist pushes his boss, picks up the bucket list and declares that he's quitting. At the same moment, a crowd of zombies bursts into the building. People scatter in different directions, and Tendo saves two of his former co-workers. The people manage to hide in one of the rooms and lock the door. They run further to get to the part of the oceanarium where sharks live. The toothy predators immediately eat one of them. However, this is no ordinary shark, but a zombie shark that has legs. Panic ensues. People run away and hide in small storage rooms. Tendo notices that Kosugi is missing and decides to help his nasty boss. He puts on a diving suit to protect himself from the sharks and heroically rescues Kosugi. While the boss is running away, a shark attacks the protagonist. That's when the faithful Kensho rushes to his friend's aid and rams the zombie shark with a forklift. Tendo runs away to save Kosugi one more time, this time from a crowd of hungry zombies. The boss hides and the zombies try to bite the main character. Fortunately, he's wearing a protective suit. Shizuka shows up and distracts the monsters with music. She's running with loudspeakers in her hands and throws them into the water. The monsters immediately rush after them and get trapped. Kensho rejoins his friends and brags that the shark chasing him got stuck in a rock, which means it won't eat anyone else. Kosugi appears, rejoicing in their victory, but all of a sudden, the shark breaks through the rock and attacks him. Tendo engages in a fight with the monster. At this point, Shizuka takes a few batteries and makes something resembling a conductor. She wants to electrocute the shark. Kensho takes those batteries and tosses them to Tendo. The only thing left is to press them against the shark's nose, and the protagonist successfully does it. The electrocuted zombie shark falls to the ground. Tendo runs over to his friend and sees that he is perfectly fine. The people are saved. All the residents of the oceanarium pack up their belongings and put boxes of food in their cars. Tendo, Kensho and Shizuka also drive off in their camper van. The protagonist offers his friends to add some new activities to the bucket list. From now on, it's their shared list and shared adventures. Give this video a like if you happen to be a zombie. Let's check if there are lots of you. I'll see you later.